Welcome back to a very special New Year's Eve edition of Enough Said. My name is Dan Barreiro. I usually am joined by Justin Gaard, but John Krasinski helping us out today from, is it The Athletic?
From The Athletic, have you heard of it before? Yes.
Welcome back. Good to have you back.
Good to be here.
And a glowing Lori Fisher also to get this whole thing started. Happy New Year to you and yours, Lori.
Happy New Year to you guys, too. I was just thinking we should have just, hosted, bringing in Midnight with Fox 9. What would we call that show? Guardsy would probably say After Hours or something like that, or After Dark.
Just like Anderson Cooper.
Be careful. That's all. That could be dangerous.
Yeah,
found out from time to time.
Well, okay, let's go. We have a big top story to discuss. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins has tested positive for COVID-19. He had symptoms, self-reported, and then tested. This means he'll be out for Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay on Sunday night. As we know, Cousins is not vaccinated. The team will also be playing without Adam Thielen, who's on the injured list, but Dalvin Cook will be back. Dan.
Other than that, how's the play?
Oh,
right?
man.
My goodness. July 31st, I think it was, your head coach, Mike Zimmer. Maybe the lame duck. We'll see. When the quarterback room kind of got destroyed, I think on that occasion it was Kellen Mond who had tested positive for COVID. And he was always kind of asked about, his concern about, how this might play out in the future. And I think the exact quote was, something like this happens a day before a game that has a chance to get you to the playoffs or something like that, that he might be a little bit annoyed. And now for the Vikings, with their season literally on the line, the worst case scenario has happened. I'm curious to get your view, though, on one part of this, Johnny, because I've been very hard on Cousins early, pretty consistent on it, but I'm not ready. There's a lot of people who now, because of that history, are ready to pound on him. And I would say, to a certain extent, in my view, Omicron has saved him a little bit, because the truth of the matter is lots of vaccinated quarterbacks are getting Omicron. So my perfect world, he gets it early, but I think the world has changed enough where I'm not going to be in the group that basically says, here again, Kirk Cousins at the moment of truth has failed his team, because I think that's overly simplistic at this late date.
I think it's a great point. There's two things on this for me, Dan. One is where Kirk Cousins is open to criticism is he did not do everything possible to put himself in position. Now, he still may have gotten Omicron, even if he was vaccinated, boosted, all of that. But he, by being unvaccinated, opened himself even more to the likelihood of that happening. So you get scrutiny for that. You should get criticism for that. That said, Dan, I don't want selective enforcement either, because guess what happened last week? Dalvin Cook was as important to their offense as Kirk Cousins is. He is unvaccinated. He had the Omicron and is out in a key game that they ended up losing.
Sure, absolutely.
So
let's go further back.
Yeah,
Harrison Smith, before Omicron has emerged, he missed, was it 1 or 2 games?
I think it was 2.
It was at least 1, maybe 2 crucial games as well, and that was before the Omicron deal took place. And that is, it's a great point that it always ends up being about the QB because it's a focal point, but it is larger.
And Cousins is polarizing and all of those things. But I do think that what this is indicative of, Dan, is this team in general is a selfish team. You say in the NFL and in football, we play for each other, you sacrifice, you do things to take care of the man next to you. None of these guys, or a lot of these guys, have not done it in key positions. The head coach is a very stubborn guy who coaches the way he wants to and won't yield to anything. And then you have all of these guys, it trickles down to them. So all in all, this shouldn't just be about Kirk Cousins. Although he does, as a quarterback, deserve that scrutiny. This should be about this entire team and the many people in key areas who have not kind of fulfilled their duties as teammates, as leaders.
Well, and I think it's difficult for me to have, it's a horrible break, one could say, but it's difficult for me to have much sympathy for a team, beyond your reasoning, that has just been meandering the whole season, who had the chance to get off to a nice start early, didn't take advantage of that.
30 seconds.
And have been kind of playing behind the 8 ball. And so why give them much benefit? They haven't earned any benefit of the doubt to say, golly, they've done everything they could. They've had a really good season. They got a really good record. And, man, then at the end, Kirk Cousins gets nailed here. No, they've been messing with this season, losing games they weren't supposed to lose, flirting with disaster in other games that they won way too often. They are what they are at this point. So it's very difficult for me to say, God, what a tough break. This team deserves more. Frankly, they don't deserve it.
They were going to lose this game anyway.
Yeah,
Probably.
and now if you want to do the percentage thing, the sports percentage terrace, I think it was like 10% going in. What do you put it at now? I put it at 0.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless Rodgers, he ends up with COVID. No, but he's immunized. I forgot.
Enough said.
That's right.
This was going to be the lead until the Cousins story broke out. The Wild signed head coach Dean Evison and the team's entire coaching staff to a multi-year contract, 3 years. This ahead of tomorrow's Winter Classic game outside at Target Field against the St. Louis Blues. Evison was named head coach for the Wild in the summer of 2020. He says success is the Stanley Cup. That is the goal, John.
Well, I'm glad that people finally listened to me. I've been
Lori went
clamoring for
immediately to the real hockey ambassador. That's you.
I am the spokesperson for the state of hockey,
Correct.
and so I can speak intelligently about this. But I will say that in all seriousness, it's been an impressive thing for the organization to go this way because Bill Guerin comes in, inherits Bruce Boudreau, moves him out. Evison was going to be Paul Fenton's guy to ascend, and it would have been very easy for Guerin to say, I'm going to get my own guy.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go find him. And to his credit, he evaluated based on what was in front of him and based on the performance. And Dean Evison has earned that with the way that he's led this club.
It's a great point. And, I think in this business, what you and I, people who write and broadcast and talk about all this sports stuff is, we do root for stories.
Sure.
And that's why this is a really easy story to root for, because when Guerin fired Boudreau and promoted Evison to the interim job, most of the people in the hockey community who are tighter to it than us were going, why are you bothering with this? There's 12 games in the season. It's not going to get the players' attention because they know he's a lame duck. It's an absolutely meaningless move. And even Guerin has admitted that he didn't really think that it was likely he'd be the guy. But it shows you that down the road, in the end, players and coaches and even general managers to a certain degree, they have the last word, no matter what we think at the time or right. And over a period of time, this was a slow cook of a guy who got Guerin's attention on the way he went about his business day to day. I think most importantly, his willingness to rattle cages, which he thought was very important the way this team had been set up. And lo and behold, they haven't even, haven't won the cup with him yet. But all the signs have been encouraging that you've got a coach who's figuring this out on the fly and certainly has earned the opportunity to play this thing out.
And in this crazy coaching business, the NHL is the craziest.
It is.
6 months later,
instability,
we could be saying he's out of here. That's just the way that this thing rolls. But I do think that Guerin deserves credit and Evison does deserve credit. He has really kind of put his fingerprints on the style of play.
30.
They have more talent. They're more exciting to watch. And I think Evison is sort of kind of empowering these players to go out and do that a little bit. And so right now it's a good story. And I think that it's a well-earned extension for him.
Will you be at the Winter Classic?
You cannot pay me enough to be out there. Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm
you
kind
just
of
need to bundle up.
I feel fraudulent because I'm the guy saying, because I get some emails on the radio from people saying, it's too dangerous. They shouldn't be playing this game. And I'm mocking that and say, wait a minute, that's Minnesota.
And you're going to be down in the basement.
But I'm going to be in the Barca watching, in 72-degree comfort while everybody else is freezing to death. But the show must go on. You can't pull the plug on this thing now. And now you want mythic cold. Yes. You don't want anybody to die.
And it's an experience.
You don't want anybody to die. That's the most important thing. You're going to go, try to dress in layers, all that kind of good stuff. But to me,
we got to move on.
Even think about pulling the plug under these conditions, it has a chance to have some really good atmosphere attached to it. Play the game, and by the way, win the game, because they've been in a little bit of a struggle lately.
Okay, here we go. The Wolves lost against the Knicks this week, but also beat the Celtics without their entire starting lineup. COVID has hit the Wolves and the NBA hard. The Wolves are 16-18. Anthony Edwards is back tonight. I'm going to go to John again because this is your jam. You cover the Wolves for The Athletic. John?
I do, and it is nice to get some of the reinforcements come back. I think Jared Vanderbilt's going to be coming back soon. We'll see about Towns and Russell. But I think the impressive thing so far is that this team has shown a collective toughness and fight in the face of adversity that they have not shown very many times before. To beat the Celtics the way they did with all 5 starters out, they didn't play well against the Knicks, but they were in it all the way. That is an indication that Chris Finch has done a good job of molding these guys and making sure that they're a team that will fight you. And for so many years, this team has been let go of the rope as soon as they have any even short reason to do it.
Even with all the regulars playing.
Even with all the regulars playing. And so that's a little bit of a sign that maybe they have a chance, once they get all their guys back, to really just be in that playoff conversation the rest of the way.
How often in the history of the National Basketball Association has someone been able to say with a straight face, in the face of adversity, the Minnesota Timberwolves have looked tougher than the Los Angeles Lakers?
How about that?
That tells you that the world is changing a little bit. And I want to ask you about this because it looks to me like the Western Conference is changing dramatically, and it's creating an opening that should make it easier for the Wolves to not contend, but at least to be in the playoff picture and to ascend. Because I don't see, a number of teams, obviously San Antonio at the top of the list. They've been in this stretch for a while now. But Portland, there's several teams that I don't view in the same place I do before. And that's now why, to me, the Wolves organization, the battle cry has to be, we got to take advantage of this. We got to stop with the excuses. This is supposed to be more our time now. We've got the young talent. We've got to take advantage of the opening that exists because there's greater vulnerability in the conference.
From seeds like 4 to 13,
right,
everything is really jumbled, and they do have higher end talent that should allow them to be competitive, and that's why I do think as the February trade deadline approaches, they will be much more buying, try to be aggressive and bolster this roster. Maybe not to say we're going for the title right now, but to say there is a window for us to go into the Western Conference and not only be factors this year, but build up.
Can't thank our fans enough, our band, everybody who made the trip here. I mean, it was the fan and the crowd was definitely dominated by Minnesota, which we couldn't thank our fans enough. So thank you all for being here.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Gophers beat the West Virginia Mountaineers in the Guaranteed Bowl game Tuesday night. The team and fans enjoyed some much warmer weather in Phoenix, including Enough Said's Justin Gaard, who we're just wondering if he's still there. We're not sure.
I would stay.
Typical.
Yeah, I mean,
commitment to the show.
It's cold here, as you were just talking about.
Yeah.
The Gophers finished the season 9-4. The bowl game was a good way to just kind of end the year, Dan.
Yeah, it was a good. I mean, you never apologize for winning.
Yep.
It was not a very appealing game. Their opponent, I don't think, is bowl worthy. But how many bowls do we have?
There's 50. No, there's more than 40.
There's more than
50.
40?
Yeah.
I think you're right. Actually, I don't know what I was thinking about. So they took care of business against a not very good, a terrible quarterback, absolutely terrible quarterback. I will still always view, I'm the tough guy, as you know, and I will always view, though, this season as a missed opportunity because I think they had a real chance with the way the West was built to actually get to the Big Ten title game. They probably would have gotten throttled like everybody else, but that should still be the goal. More widely speaking, I think the Gophers under Fleck have gone, they've won 16 games the last 3 years in the Big Ten. The most Mace won over any 3 years was 11. It's a good stretch. He's the right guy. There's not any doubt about that. And that, to me, is the larger question. They have an opportunity next year, Johnny, with a really soft schedule. Again, no Ohio State and no Michigan. The quarterback's coming back for his 15th year. Everybody else, apparently, the wide receiver is coming back as well.
Bell.
Exactly. So they have an opportunity to build on this year, which I still think was missing that one more victory that would have truly put them back to the place they'd been the 2 years previous.
What I like most and what I'm most encouraged about for next year is I think the biggest disappointment this year was Tanner Morgan did not take another step.
Right.
And I think that there are some people who believe the offensive coordinator was not up to the task
30 seconds.
there.
I don't think he was.
Kirk Shiraka back. Yeah. They have a really good chemistry. So I think they can take a step next year. And look at PJ Fleck and Bowles. Vince Lombardi-like. You don't want to get these guys in the playoff.
3-0, correct? Well, in all honesty, the key, though, on PJ is he says he knows we got to pass more and better, but he's got to adhere to that because I think some of the concern is that he himself influences the coordinator to be way too conservative. So maybe with his guys, security blanket back, he'll be fine, and because he's got to let him be aggressive in order for this thing to work, and the QB does have to throw better.
No doubt.
Former NFL coach and broadcaster John Madden passed away this week. He was 85 years old. He was iconic in the world of football, a Hall of Famer, Emmy Award winner. As we know, the face behind Madden NFL football for gamers. He and his wife had just celebrated their 62nd wedding anniversary just days before he died, Dan. Big loss.
And he's one of us.
One of us.
Born in Austin,
Absolutely.
Minnesota, left early. I think he was 6 years old. Did have one
Turned his
emotional
back
return.
on us, really.
Well, you could say that too. I like to refer to him as the intellectual everyman, in that everybody I talked to and people who know him said he was a whip-smart football mind. But he wasn't all that interested as a broadcaster in showing that off. He was far more interested, I think, in translating the game into a language that everybody could understand and that made the game, what's the word we're looking for, fun.
Yeah.
It sounds trite to say it, but he did it before it was cool to do it. I mean, that's the difference. Now a lot of guys try to be Madden and it comes off a little bit, you know, over the top. He's the original. And to that extent, I think that beyond his football coaching ability, I think that's his greatest contribution to the game.
You know, this takes me back, Dan, to when I was younger. There were certain events every week that happened, and when Pat Summerall and John Madden had your game, when the Vikings were playing and they had Madden and Summerall, that was an event.
You're right.
You felt it. Everything about the production, everything about the way they called it was just a step up. And so I think it's different nowadays with all of the options we have to watch games and all those things. I just feel like you can't quite feel the same way, even with Buck and Aikman or whoever it is. But the way that they presented that and the way that Summerall perfectly complimented Madden, because Madden was gregarious and outgoing and talkative. Summerall very quiet, very buttoned up. It was the perfect combination. I don't think there will ever be a team
Madden
like that again.
didn't care about spouting statistical chance. A computer told everybody a team had to win the game. He was interested in telling stories and spinning yarns. And that was him at his greatest.
He wanted my mom to be able to enjoy the game just like us.
That's exactly right.
Can you believe spring training is right around the corner? I know it's freezing outside right now, but baseball is just not that far away. The Twins haven't made many moves in the offseason. Meanwhile, MLB owners and player unions have some issues to work out, as we know, and really everything comes down to money, Dan.
By the way, the worst thing I think that could happen to the 2022 Twins is that the lockout ends. I think they might be better off if we just go straight to 2023, because they have no identifiable pitching rotation.
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. The lockout gives them an excuse to not sign a pitcher right now, because they just will not sign them. They're like the Vikings with offensive linemen. We don't want them. We don't need them, and it is the most important position on your roster, and they're just willfully ignoring it.
My disappointment about the way the owners are handling, the commissioner is handling this lockout, is they don't want to take this opportunity to do what they should do, which is address the slowness of games by basically saying we've got to talk about a pitch clock. We are required to do it. They've decided, no, that's going to be too complicated and that's going to create too much bad blood. We just want to get a new deal. And to me, it's squandering an opportunity that will eventually is going to continue to hurt the game. The game has to do something about what is now basically, on average, sometimes 4 hours to 4 hour, 5 minute games. That's ridiculous, and it hurts the product. Now is the time, if you're going to reshape everything, reshape everything, the economic structure, minor leagues, pace of play, what you're doing, put in an illegal defense. I want them to do that. All the shifting has turned it into an unwatchable product at some point. The problem is you need a commissioner who's got the cojones to do it. You need a revolutionary commissioner, and this guy, he is not it. He is not up to the job.
Welcome back to Enough Said. It is the final lightning round of 2021.
Emotional is what it is.
It is. Thanks for joining us again, John. Appreciate it.
It's going to be great. I've been waiting for this lightning round all week.
Oh, good. Holiday sales were up, but it sounds like returns are too. So I was wondering if you guys returned anything that someone gave you for Christmas, or if maybe someone else is returning something you gave them. Dan?
Well, Dan, my wife is returning my gift.
Really?
Yeah, swung and missed a little bit. The thought was in the right place.
Yeah.
The execution.
You're not going to say what it is.
Does she hide it well, or does she like pretty blunt and say, "Oh, John, what were you thinking?"
No, she was kind with it. She was kind with, and she also knew, like, okay, I see where you made the mistake, but she's going to correct it.
All right, well, that's good. And then everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
I have not so far had a chance to take anything back, and I hate that whole process.
Oh,
I'm I'm almost willing sometimes to say,
you just deal with it.
Beautiful.
Stick it in the corner.
It's beautiful,
Next up.
and then I might wear it like in 6 months.
Yeah, we're going to call this Dan's movie review corner. Being the Ricardos is out on Prime Video. Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. Dan, what did you think about it?
I loved it, and again, I don't know if the kids, you guys are a generation where you didn't grow up with I Love Lucy.
Yeah, a little before me.
Not really.
And the same with Lori. So I don't know how well this thing's going to do. And the reviews are all over the map. I thought it was delightful. I thought the stars of the show were very, very well cast. There was a big controversy about that. I thought the Lucy and Ricky were perfectly cast. The repartee, the banter is extremely witty. The sets are cool. It's thrown back nicely, and I heartily recommend it. If you have any knowledge of, Lucille Ball was a hell of a comedian, and not maybe understand sort of the backstory about how volatile things were between them, but yet how the show itself was their glue. To the point where the moment the show went away, the marriage went away. I just thought it was really well done.
I do want to check it out, mostly because I know Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men, and I'm thinking of him as this sinister guy, and now you're going to be Ricky Ricardo. Let's see how he kind of
extremely warm, utter. I think it's a testament to his acting chops.
The Fisher family will be binging on Cobra Kai season 4, by the way.
What's that all about?
I'll tell you after the show. Karate Kid. There's a big Powerball drawing.
Johnny Lawrence.
Saturday night, he makes that show too. Saturday night, so since no one won Wednesday, more than $480 million and growing. John, will you buy a ticket?
How often have you done it?
I very, very rarely do it. It's got to get, and I'm so ridiculous. No, it's got to get to $750 million. I don't want $30 million. That's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. So I very rarely do it. Maybe I will on the way home today.
Would you do lump sum or would you do the yearly?
Lump sum.
Lump sum all the way?
And then I'll just be one of those tragic figures who spends it all.
You'll squander it, won't you?
And I'm out on the street.
I'm going to guess what you'll do. You'd buy a hockey team.
Yeah,
buy a hockey
question.
franchise.
I'll buy in with Leopold right now.
That sounds fun. And finally, it's that time of year we have to state, well, you don't have to, our New Year's resolutions. I asked Justin, since he couldn't be here with us tonight, what his is, and it was listening to Lori during the show, which I'm not really going to take seriously.
Last words.
And I was wondering if you guys had any New Year's resolutions you'd like to share with the class.
2, cover Wolves playoff series for the second time in 17 years.
How about going even more ambitious, a winning playoff series?
Wow,
is that too much to ask for?
Hold on here. And I'm going to get into K-Fan with you in studio.
No, I don't believe you.
I
don't believe it. I don't believe that.
I got to set it. It's right out there right now.
I have one. I have just one. My vow is for Lori Fisher to listen to me better than she's listened over the years.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Can you do that? Can you put
her write this down?
That's I think my vow.
Lori, what's yours?
That's my
I was going to say mine is getting some rest and spending time with my family and not listening to Dan.
You act like you don't do that.
Enough said. Let's start right now.
All right. The deal.
That's it.
You're still not listening to me.
Happy New Year's Eve. 2022 should hopefully be better than the last 2 years.
Cheers.
And maybe we'll see Gaardsy again in 2022.
Let's hope not. I like to come back.
He's got like 15 different jobs now.
You are welcome to come back anytime, John.
This chair feels great.